Venezuela sits on the largest proven oil reserves on Earth. Yet today, millions of Venezuelans struggle with poverty, shortages, and immigration. This is the story of how a nation rich in resources became poor in outcomes, and how national wealth slowly stopped belonging to the people. In the early 20th century, oil transformed Venezuela almost overnight. By the 1950s, it was one of Latin America's wealthiest countries. Oil revenues funded infrastructure, education, and a growing middle class. For decades, Venezuelans associated oil with national progress. In 1976, the government nationalized the oil industry, creating PDVSA. At first, the company was professionally run and internationally respected. Oil wealth was officially public wealth. But this prosperity hid a growing weakness. Over time, oil became almost the only source of national income. Other industries shrank. Agriculture declined. Manufacturing stagnated. The state no longer depended on taxes from citizens. It depended on oil exports. This weakened accountability. When governments rely on citizens for revenue, they must deliver results. When they rely on oil, power concentrates around whoever controls the resource. Venezuela had become a petrostate. In 1998, Hugo Chavez was elected president. His government used oil revenue to fund massive social programs. Poverty initially fell. Access to healthcare and education expanded. But oil wealth was no longer treated as capital to be reinvested. It became political fuel. PDVSA was transformed from a technical company into a political instrument. Experienced engineers were dismissed. Loyalty increasingly mattered more than expertise. Short-term redistribution replaced long-term sustainability. The hollowing of the oil industry. Oil production requires constant reinvestment. Wells decline. Infrastructure ages. Technology becomes obsolete. As PDVSA's revenue was redirected into state spending, maintenance and investment collapsed. Corruption expanded. Output began to fall. By the 2010s, Venezuela was producing a fraction of what it once did. The oil was still underground, but it was no longer generating wealth for the population. As oil revenue declined, the government turned to printing money. This triggered hyperinflation. Savings evaporated. Salaries became meaningless. Prices changed daily. National wealth did not disappear. It dissolved inside a broken currency system. What once funded schools and hospitals could no longer buy food. After Chavez's death, Nicolás Maduro inherited a weakened system. Oil prices fell globally. Production continued to decline. Economic controls tightened. International sanctions later restricted oil exports and access to finance, worsening an already collapsing economy. But by the time sanctions arrived, the damage was already done. The system had failed to convert national resources into public prosperity. The oil did not vanish. The reserves remain among the largest on Earth. What vanished was the link between national wealth and the people. Oil revenue was consumed, not invested. Institutions weakened instead of strengthening. Short-term political survival replaced long-term national planning. The result was one of the largest economic collapses outside of war. Millions of Venezuelans left the country. Those who stayed lost savings, opportunity, and security. Venezuela did not lose its resources. It lost the systems that turn resources into shared prosperity. National wealth does not belong to a nation by default. It belongs only if institutions protect it and if governments treat it as a trust, not a prize.